What's up my fellow peeps, Caden here. Over the years there have been many forms in Kamen Rider, but with there being so many, some do get left by the wayside. Sometimes these forms do get found out about though, whether it be through hacking toys or forms that never made it past the concept art stage. In today's video I will be shining a light on these forms that some of you may have never heard of or seen. This is a topic I'm really interested in, so if you do enjoy this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe and share the video, and let's begin. Starting with Heisei Phase 2. These first two are entirely from before I became a Rider fan, this first one being forms discovered from the hacking of the deluxe drive driver. There will be a few of these driver hacks discussed throughout this video. The drive driver worked with a pin system, and through it, people were able to find hidden sounds for future forms and tyre changes. And by the end of the series there were still some left unused. I'll just be talking about the form changes. Now one of Drive's Hyper Battle DVDs had a form for him called Type High Speed. It may sound stronger than Type Speed, but it was simply a recolor of it with no additional power. Anyways, the sound for this was programmed into the Drive driver, but so are similar sounds for Drive's other forms, though those never ended up being used. These were Get Wild, Ultra Technic, Get Next, Super Dead Heat, Dash Formula, an Over sound with an inverse coloured art, like that used for Type Trideron or Kamen Rider Heart, Ultra Fruits, and Super Special. There are also unused sounds in the Mark driver, but those are simply for signal changes and not for long form changes. Going along right to the next series actually, the hacks of the deluxe Ghost driver. Once again it worked on a pin system, meaning people are able to discover form sounds, though this time only one of them was left unused by the series' end. This is a rather insignificant one, just an unused sound for what would have been a Ganbarizing damashi. Honestly, the idea of it does sound weird anyways, with Ghost having forms based on historical figures, so a form based on an arcade game in such a series seems kinda off. Now for the first one that happened during my time as a Rider fan, the hacks of the deluxe build driver. Once again working with a pin system. I'm really into speculation, so learning that there were new forms discovered in the Rider belt was really cool. Because of the belt's dual bottle system, a lot of sounds were discovered for not just individual full bottles, but also best matches. I'll just be talking about the latter here though. The first of these I'll be talking about is Crocodicon, using a crocodile full bottle and a Remocon, or remote controller, full bottle. Of these first few, this form would eventually be able to be actually done without hacking the belt, using the crocodile crack full bottle and the gear Remocon. Though no proper full bottles or form ever came for it. The next four don't have bottles of any sort though, thus could only be done by hacking. The first one is my absolute favourite, F1 Saurus, accessed using a Kyoryu, or dinosaur full bottle, and an F1 full bottle. I was really excited hearing about this one because I love dinosaurs and it sounded so cool. So seeing it go unused was rather sad. Next is a food based one, Cup Energy, using a Kamen, or Cup Ramen full bowl, and an energy drink full bowl. The interesting thing about this best match is, thanks to the hacking of the deluxe Splash driver, we found out this best match was entirely inorganic, unlike most other best matches which were half organic and half inorganic. Now next is just one full bottle, Keisatsukan, or police officer, but as implied by the image I'm using here, it's actually for a Legend Rider best match, specifically Drives, by being paired up with an F1 full bottle, though neither of those were ever released, which is really odd seeing as the rest of the Legend Rider best match bottles were. Lastly is a Nana Legend Rider one of sorts, Showa Rider plus Heisei Rider, the former being organic and latter inorganic, again thanks to the Splash driver. This is rather weird compared to the other ones, as it isn't exactly a best match, but not really a trial form either. It has a wordless jingle and doesn't announce best match before it, but not the same as that of a trial form, just some music followed by a modified Typhoon sound. This next one actually got further than being left unused in the belt, being GoldScorpion. Back when Build was airing, we still had toy catalogues, and in the series' second quarter catalogue there was a listing for a deluxe GoldScorpion full bottle set. including pictures of the bottles and concept art of the form. As time got closer to its release, it was learned that its release ended up getting replaced by another best match, Rosecopter. Personally, I remember finding this out through CS Toys. Through another catalogue listing, it was discovered Rosecopter was a Hokuto best match, and the last spot for that region's best match was taken by Merry Christmas, of all forms, meaning GoldScorpion never saw a release. Going one step further is bottles that were actually released, but never had forms designed for them, being 3 best matches using 4 bottles of 6 Legend Riders: Forze, Wizard, Gaim, Drive, Ghost, and X8. The first 5 were released together in the premium Bandai set, and the X8 full bottle, I believe, was released as a pre-order bonus for tickets for Kamen Rider Heisei Generations Final. Anyways, Forze paired up with Wizard to make the entirely inorganic Forze Wizard, Gaim and Drive together to make Gaim Drive, and lastly, Ghost and X8 for Ghost X8. All 3 had jingles but never had forms designed for them. Not even concept art. A similar situation happened for builds Buttoba Ganba and SuperHeroTime forms. Firstly, Buttoba Ganba, made up of the Buttoba Soul and Ganbarizing full bottles. A fully inorganic best match based on 2 Kamen Rider games. Buttoba Soul was a deluxe bowl released in a premium Bandai set, which I can't remember the details for, and Ganbarizing was a Television exclusive opaque bowl that had no shaky bit inside and had to be put together. The other best match is SuperHeroTime, made using the Super Sentai and Kamen Rider full bowls, both being Television exclusives though through separate magazines, I think. Once again, both of these forms had jingles, but actual forms were never made for them. Fun fact about the Kamen Rider full bowl though, it had the same pins as the Rider Evol bowl, meaning it could be used as a substitute for in the Evol driver if you really wanted to. Next is definitely the best outcome for an unused form besides actually getting used, getting into Ganbarizing. Up till partway through build, the Kamen Rider arcade game Ganbarizing had a bunch of game exclusive forms, and Bilk was for the most part included in this. Besides all the possible trial forms, by scanning bottles into the game, new best matches could be made. 5 of these were for Hokuto, Unirazor, Turtle Watch, Beetle Camera, Dog Mike, and Merry Christmas. 3 for Sato, Shikamid, Penguin Skater, and Mad Ghost. And 8 Legend Rider best matches for Deno, Decade, Double, O's, Forze, Wizard, Gaim, and Ghost. Of these, Decade was a completely inorganic best match, made up of the Rider card and camera full bowls. Now, when I was talking about those Ganbarizing forms, I said build for the most part was included in game exclusive forms. That's because there were 4 best matches that had bottles released and concept art made for their forms, but were oddly never made playable in Ganbarizing. I remember waiting for the bottles to be released and see them in the game, but when they were scanned, they didn't create any new forms at all, which was so strange to me. Of these 4, there was 1 Hokuto best match, Spider Cooler, and 3 Sato best matches, Bat Engine, Hachi Marine, and Side Dryer. Bat Engine did have a form in the Evol driver though, as Kamen Rider Mad Rogue, the only best match, or should I say Evol match, to ever have a used form in said belt. Build had a lot of unused forms, but these are the last of them. The Evol driver, being a recolor of the build driver, had a pin system, meaning it could be hacked, but since its main thing was evolution rather than best matches, the main thing taken from the hacking of this belt was different names for certain bowls, and heck, both the F1 bowl and the GoldScorpion forms weren't even programmed into it, meaning neither F1 Saurus or the Drive best match could be done in it. Despite all that, 3 new evolution forms were discovered in the belt, being Evol Tank, Evol Lock, and randomly, Evol Dinosaur. Tank and Lock having Evol forms was interesting since he already had official forms for both Rabbit and Dragon, their best match partners, and similarly to Crocodile from before, they could be done without hacking. Use the Tank and Lock full bottles as substitutes for their never released Evol bottles. Dinosaur was a really interesting one though. The fact Evol was going to get a dinosaur themed form really excited me, as Evol is one of my favourite riders, so it really got me down to see it go unused and unreleased, just like F1 Saurus from before. Moving on from build is the last Heisei Rider, Geo. Here we have the rider armors of Akito, Ryuki, Blade, Hibiki, Kabuto, Dendo, and Kiva, that only ever got concept art. These were first seen on the back of the packaging for their deluxe ride watches. While all of them were released before Christmas of 2018, their arcs in the show weren't till long after Christmas. Sogo did get their ride watches in the show, but by the time he got them, he already had Geo 2 or even Geo Trinity, so there wasn't really any need to use them besides for the eventual Grand Geo. Though he did use the Ryuki ride watch with the Decayed ride watch to create Decayed Armor Ryuki form in the Rider Time Ryuki special. There's not much else to say about these, though it's interesting that Kiva armor changed the colour of Geo's eyes. Lastly for Heisei Phase 2 is rider armors for the rest of the Legend Rider ride watches that got released in Geo's run. Throughout all of Geo, we got Legend Rider ride watches for not just the main rider's base forms, but also their final forms, super forms, upgrade forms, and even other riders and their forms, including the riders from Amazons and a few Showa riders, which only just got released a couple months ago, with the exception of Amazon Omega, which was released as a pre-order bonus for Geo's summer movie over Quartzer. Most of them were candy toys, but some of them, notably the primary rider final form watches, were deluxe. They could all be used in the Jiku driver for a ton of possible armors. While a few of these additional legend watches did appear during the series, with Cross Knight being used for finishes in the Jikan Zax, and O's Tajador being used in Geo's Time Machine, the only one to ever be used for an armor of its own was Genmu. The armor being a recolor of the X-Aid armor, minus the hammer arms, used by Gates in exclusively the show's Ozark. And while it didn't get an armor, the Saber watch was used with the Decayed watch to create Decayed Armor Saber form, which appeared in Rider Time Geo vs Decade. Moving on to Reiwa, and starting with 01, we have the concept art exclusive forms. Every week after every episode of 01 aired live, concept art of not just forms that appeared in the show and Kamen Rider Radio were the first generation, but also some that didn't, were released. The first exclusive, 01 Shooting Wolf, appeared after episode 2, and the last exclusive, 01 Invading Horseshoe Crab, appeared after episode 34. Most of the concept art exclusives were of 01 using the other riders' main keys and auxiliary keys, even including 01 Amazing Caucasus, 01 Burning Falcon, and Vulcan Rising Hopper. These were really exciting to me, as many of these look really great. Heck, I even speculated what would be each week's concept art forms, though there was one I was really miffed we never got the concept art of, and that one was 01 Dynamaiting Lion. I have no idea why this one never got its weekly concept art, but at least we did get to see what it looks like in the end. This is my absolute favourite of 01's unused forms. The chest armour and head are pretty damn neat. This form never got a physical suit, but it did get used in a little comic featured in the issue of Television released in June 2020, which came packaged with a candy toy of the Dynamaiting Lion progress key, both of which I actually have, and a deluxe version of said key actually got released a couple months ago. Though I didn't get it as the candy toy version is enough for me, and premium Bandai is expensive as heck. Time to open the book on Saber's unused forms. Of course, there are a huge amount of unused Wonder Ride book combinations with the Seiken Sword Driver, but many of those are just Wonder Rider forms, so I won't be talking about them. Instead, I'll just be focusing on the Nisatsu forms of Blades and Espada that they never used in the show. Saber, being the main rider, used quite a few Wonder Rider forms, and even after obtaining his Wonder combo, he did still use Wonder Rider forms, including the combination of the first and last books of his element, Sayu Dragon. Blades and Espada had Wonder combos that they worked their way up to over the first 10 episodes, and until they got them they just used their main book on their own or their main book with the second book of their element. Once they got the third books of their respective elements, they never used just that with their main books, only as Wonder combos. Thanks to a simulator made by Bandai though, not only could many Wonder Rider forms be made, we also got to see what Blades and Espada's missing Nisatsu forms, like Pegasus and or Cerberus, respectively, looks like. And neither of them look that bad, honestly. Turning the page, we have Hybrid Saber. The Cross Saber was a rather unique final form item, in that it wasn't just used for the final form, but also alternate versions of the final form, Crimson Saber and Featuring Saber. In the toy, sounds for all 3 of these forms were programmed in, plus 2 more. One of these was a Legend Rider sound, and the other was a sound for a form called Hybrid Saber, which could be done with any 2 non-Legend Rider books. In the promotional images for the toy of the sword, the sounds for this form were demonstrated using the Brave Dragon and King of Arthur Wonder Ride books. So given how we knew forms using the Cross Saber worked in the show, if it had happened, Hybrid Saber would have probably been a cross recolor of Saber's Dragon Arthur form. And that's just some of the unused forms of Kamen Rider. I have found there is probably enough unused forms that I didn't talk about this time for a second video on this, so if y'all want to see that or you have any suggestions for me to cover, just let me know down in the comments below. I hope y'all enjoyed learning about all the forms that never got used, and if you did enjoy it, be sure to like, comment your favourite unused forms, subscribe and share this video, and I'll see y'all peeps next time.